No babysitter could handle twin heirs until Maid's daughter walked in. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's jump right into the story. A beautiful mansion sat on a hill, surrounded by manicured gardens, glistening under the afternoon sun. The sound of laughter could be heard echoing from the grand living room. But this was not a scene of joy. It was chaos. The twins, a boy and a girl, both 8 years old, were running wild, causing mayhem in the most expensive home in the city. The housekeepers, the nannies, and the staff had all tried to calm them down, but no one succeeded. They had all given up, one by one, leaving in frustration and exhaustion. The couple who owned the mansion, a wealthy billionaire and his wife, had hired the best nannies money could buy, but none of them could handle the unruly children. The twins seemed to delight in causing trouble. They pulled expensive paintings off the walls, threw food across the room, and screamed at the top of their lungs just for the fun of it. The couple had been at their wits' end. The wife, a beautiful woman with sharp features, sat at the kitchen counter, staring blankly at the pile of resignation letters from yet another nanny who had quit. She turned to her husband, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to do anymore. We've tried everything, and no one can control them." Her husband, a tall man with the posture of someone who was used to getting everything he wanted, sighed. "We need someone who can actually handle them. Someone who isn't afraid to step up." Just then, a soft knock echoed from the door, barely audible over the commotion of the twins in the background. The wife opened the door, and standing there was a little girl, no older than 10, with her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, wearing a uniform of a maid. Her name was Emily. "Ma'am, I'm here to help," she said in a calm, steady voice. The couple exchanged glances. This was the new maid's daughter, who had recently joined the staff. The wife frowned slightly, not quite sure what to expect. But they were desperate. "All right, let's see if you can handle them," the husband said with a dismissive tone. Emily nodded and walked into the living room where the twins were causing a scene. The boy was throwing his toy cars at the walls, while the girl was standing on the coffee table, screaming at the top of her lungs. Emily didn't flinch. She took a deep breath, observing the situation, before walking up to the twins without saying a word. She stood there quietly for a moment, then simply said, "Stop." Her voice was firm, but not angry. It was calm, as if she had all the time in the world. The twins stopped in their tracks. They looked at her, confused by her presence. The boy, always the more rebellious one, scoffed. "What do you want, little girl?" he sneered. But Emily just smiled. "I'm here to help you." The girl, who had been jumping up and down on the coffee table, climbed down slowly, looking at Emily with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Emily continued, "If you don't stop now, I'll have to ask you both to leave this house." The twins froze. No one had ever spoken to them like that before. "Leave this house," the girl whispered, her eyes widening in disbelief. "How can you do that?" Emily nodded. "I can. I know how to handle you both. I've seen what you're capable of, and I know you don't want to be punished for it. So, let's make this easier for everyone." The twins exchanged another glance, and for the first time that day, they both quieted down. Emily wasn't like the others. She wasn't afraid, and it was that simple fact that made all the difference. As the day went on, Emily calmly and confidently took charge. She didn't raise her voice, she didn't threaten, but she managed to keep the twins in check. The couple watched from a distance, astonished at how Emily handled everything. By the end of the day, the twins were sitting quietly, playing with their toys as if nothing had ever happened. The wife looked at her husband with a shocked expression. "How did she do that?" she asked, her voice full of disbelief. "I don't know," he replied, equally stunned. "But she's the first one who's actually managed to keep them under control." From that moment on, Emily became more than just a maid's daughter. She became the one person the twins trusted, the one who could tame their wild spirits. The couple learned that sometimes, the best solution doesn't come from hiring the best professionals or the most expensive experts. Sometimes, it comes from the unexpected places. And Emily, with her calm demeanor and quiet strength, proved that even the smallest voices can make the biggest difference. The next day, things seemed to calm down. Emily had only been at the mansion for one day, but she had already proven herself capable of handling the twins. The house, which had once felt like a battlefield, now seemed strangely peaceful. The twins were quieter, their usual mischief tamed by the girl who had walked into their lives unexpectedly. Emily, despite her small stature and simple uniform, had a presence that commanded attention. The couple, still in disbelief, watched from a distance as Emily worked with the children. They couldn't understand how a young girl, just barely 10 years old, had managed to do what no one else could. As the day went on, Emily continued her tasks with a quiet confidence. She helped the twins with their homework, something that had always been a struggle for them. Emily wasn't a teacher, but her approach was gentle yet firm, encouraging the children when they got things right and calmly correcting them when they made mistakes. The twins, who had once resisted everything, now seemed to want her approval. The boy, usually stubborn and rebellious, even asked her questions about math that he would have never asked anyone before. His eyes no longer held the defiant gleam they once did. The girl, who had always been the more emotional of the two, started opening up to Emily, telling her about the things that made her angry, the things that scared her. For the first time, someone was truly listening. The parents, still watching from the doorway, exchanged a look of disbelief. "This is incredible," the wife whispered, unable to take her eyes off the scene. "I've never seen them like this. It's like they actually respect her." The husband nodded, still stunned. "I don't understand it. She's just a maid's daughter. But she's got something that none of our nannies had." As the day wore on, Emily made sure the twins stayed on task, never raising her voice, never getting frustrated. Her patience seemed endless. When the twins grew tired of their homework, Emily took them outside to the garden to play. She didn't have much time to be a child herself, but she made sure the twins knew how to enjoy the simple things, like running barefoot in the grass or playing catch. They laughed together, something that hadn't happened in the mansion for a long time. The wife, who had been watching them from the window, stood there for a moment, lost in thought. She had spent years trying to control her children, to discipline them, to get them to behave the way she wanted. But nothing had worked. Now, in just a few short hours, Emily had done what no one else had been able to do. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the mansion, the twins came inside, tired but happy. They washed up for dinner, their usual wild energy replaced with a calm sense of contentment. The wife looked at her husband, her expression softening. "I think we've found someone who can finally help us," she said quietly. The husband, still watching the children, nodded. "I think we have. But we have to remember, she's not just some maid's daughter. She's special. I don't know what it is, but she's the one who's been able to reach them." That night, as Emily finished her chores and prepared to leave for the evening, the parents called her into the living room. She stepped in, unsure of what to expect. The wife smiled warmly at her. "We want to thank you, Emily," she said, her voice sincere. "You've done something no one else could. You've brought peace back into this house. We are grateful." Emily smiled shyly, not used to being thanked. "It's just my job, ma'am." The husband stood up, walking over to her. "No, it's more than that. You have a gift, Emily. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Emily nodded, feeling a sense of pride she had never known before. The couple was right. She had done more than just clean the house or watch the children. She had made a real difference in their lives. And in doing so, she had earned something much more valuable than money: respect. The following week, things in the mansion had settled into a surprising routine. Emily had become an integral part of the family, not just the maid's daughter. The twins, once impossible to control, now listened to her. They followed her gentle guidance without hesitation, and their mischievous behavior seemed to disappear entirely. Their parents watched in awe as Emily navigated the complex dynamics of the family. The wife, who had once been overwhelmed by the chaos, now found herself with more time to relax. Her children were no longer a source of stress, and the peace in the house was palpable. Emily didn't just control the twins. She had brought calm to the entire household. As the days passed, Emily's bond with the twins deepened. She wasn't just their caretaker. She became their confidant. The boy, who had always been distant and defiant, began to trust her with his thoughts and feelings. He told her about his frustrations with his parents, how he felt overlooked, how the constant pressure to be perfect made him angry. Emily listened without judgment, offering quiet comfort in return. The girl, more sensitive and emotional, had her own struggles. She had always felt overshadowed by her brother, the more outgoing twin, and Emily helped her find her own voice. She taught her that she didn't need to compete with her brother to be special. Slowly, the twins began to change. They were kinder, more patient, and more considerate of each other. The family was beginning to see the results of Emily's influence. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, the parents exchanged glances. The transformation in their children was undeniable. "I can't believe it," the wife whispered to her husband. "They've never been like this before." The husband, his eyes still on the children, nodded. "It's Emily," he said softly. "She's the one who's made all the difference." The wife smiled, her heart full of gratitude. "We owe her everything." The evening was calm, a stark contrast to the chaos that had once defined the mansion. The twins, sitting at the table, actually spoke to each other, laughing and joking in a way that seemed so natural it was hard to believe. The wife looked at Emily, who was quietly sitting at the corner of the room, finishing her meal. "Emily, you've done so much for us," she said, her voice full of emotion. "I don't know how to thank you." Emily, shy as always, smiled softly. "It's my job, ma'am. I'm just here to help." The husband, his voice sincere, stood up and walked over to her. "You've done more than that," he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You've given us something we didn't even know we needed, peace." "Thank you." Emily's heart swelled with pride. No one had ever thanked her like this before. She had come to the mansion to work, but she had found something much more valuable: respect and a sense of belonging. The family had once seen her as nothing more than the maid's daughter, but now they saw her as a vital part of their lives. As the days turned into weeks, Emily's role in the mansion only grew. She became more than just a caregiver for the twins. She became a trusted advisor, someone the family relied on for guidance. Her quiet strength and wisdom had transformed not only the twins, but the entire household. The wife often found herself asking Emily for advice, seeking her opinion on matters both big and small. Emily had earned a place at the table, not just physically, but emotionally as well. The mansion, once a place of tension and chaos, had become a home, filled with laughter, love, and respect. And at the heart of it all was Emily, the maid's daughter, who had done what no one else could, brought the family together. As time went on, the transformation in the mansion was nothing short of remarkable. The once chaotic household had settled into a peaceful rhythm, thanks to Emily's calm presence. The twins, who had been difficult and unruly, were now more considerate and polite. They spent their days reading, doing their homework, and playing games with a newfound sense of respect for each other and the adults around them. Emily's role had shifted. She was no longer just a maid's daughter. She was now seen as an integral part of the family. Her influence had reached beyond just the twins. The wife, once a frazzled and overworked woman, now had time for herself. She could relax, enjoy her mornings with a cup of coffee, and not feel the weight of her children's behavior hanging over her. Her relationship with her husband improved as well. No longer was she constantly stressed and upset about the chaos at home. Emily's quiet strength had brought peace to the entire household. The husband, who had been skeptical at first, now recognized Emily for the incredible person she was. He had seen how the twins had changed under her care, how they no longer acted out and fought with each other. He had watched her teach them valuable lessons, not just about behavior, but about kindness, patience, and understanding. It was clear to him now that Emily was the one who had made all the difference. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, the husband turned to Emily with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, I want to thank you again," he said, his voice sincere. "You've done something that no one else could. You've transformed our family, and we'll never be able to repay you for that." Emily, ever humble, smiled softly. "I'm just doing my job, sir. I'm happy to help." The wife, who had been quietly listening, added, "No, Emily. It's more than that. You've become a part of this family. We're so grateful for everything you've done." The twins, who had been silently eating their dinner, suddenly looked up at Emily with wide eyes. The boy, who had once been difficult and defiant, spoke up. "Thank you, Emily," he said quietly, his voice full of sincerity. "You've made everything better." His sister nodded in agreement, her eyes shining. "Yeah, you're the best, Emily." Emily felt a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she felt truly appreciated, not just for her work, but for who she was. She had earned the respect of the family, and that meant more to her than anything else. As the evening went on, the family chatted and laughed together, the atmosphere light and easy. It was a stark contrast to the tense, uncomfortable silence that had once filled the house. The mansion, once a place of chaos and frustration, was now a home that was filled with love, understanding, and respect. And at the heart of it all was Emily, the maid's daughter, who had proven that sometimes the greatest changes come from the most unexpected people. Emily had started as an outsider, someone who had been hired to clean and take care of the household. But she had become much more than that. She had become the glue that held the family together, the person who had helped them rediscover what it meant to be a family. As the night drew to a close, Emily said her goodbyes and went to her small room, feeling a sense of fulfillment she had never experienced before. She had come to the mansion to work, but now she had found something much more valuable: respect, appreciation, and a place where she truly belonged. As weeks turned into months, the mansion's once chaotic atmosphere had completely transformed. The twins, now well-behaved and respectful, had grown attached to Emily in a way that none of the family could have predicted. They no longer saw her simply as the maid's daughter. They saw her as someone who had genuinely changed their lives for the better. Emily's influence had grown stronger with each passing day. She was no longer just a caretaker or a helper. She had become a part of the family in every sense of the word. The wife, who had once been overwhelmed by the challenges of raising her children, found herself leaning on Emily for support. She often asked her advice on everything, from handling the children's emotional needs to managing the household. Emily's insights were thoughtful, and her calm demeanor helped the wife navigate the complexities of family life with ease. The husband, who had initially been skeptical of Emily's role, now saw her as an irreplaceable part of the household. He couldn't help but admire how she had turned the once disorganized and stressful environment into a peaceful, well-functioning home. He found himself offering her more responsibility, knowing that she was the only one who could truly handle it. One evening, as the family sat in the living room, the husband turned to Emily, a serious expression on his face. "Emily, I've been thinking," he said slowly. "You've done more for this family than I could have ever imagined. I want to offer you something." Emily looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean, sir?" she asked, unsure of what he was referring to. He paused for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "We've seen how much you've done for us. How much you've done for the twins. I don't want you to feel like just the maid's daughter anymore. I want you to have a real position in this family. I'd like to make you the children's personal assistant. You'll have your own office, a salary, and responsibilities beyond what you've been doing so far. I think you deserve it." Emily's heart skipped a beat. She had never imagined anything like this. She had come to this mansion with nothing but a desire to help and make a difference. But now it seemed like the family truly saw her as an equal. "Sir, she began, her voice shaking with emotion. "I don't know what to say." The husband smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "You don't have to say anything, Emily. Your actions have spoken louder than words ever could." Over the next few weeks, Emily stepped into her new role. She was given an office of her own, a small but cozy space in the mansion's second floor. The twins, who had always been a handful, now turned to her for guidance on their studies, their emotions, and even their friendships. Emily had become their mentor, their confidant, and their protector. The wife and husband continued to rely on her for advice and support, but now, Emily felt like she was more than just a helper. She was a key player in the family's daily life. As the family began to adjust to this new dynamic, Emily found herself feeling more at home than ever before. She had earned the respect of the family, not through her title or position, but through her actions and the way she had transformed their lives. The mansion, once a place of tension and uncertainty, had become a place of warmth and love. And at the heart of it all was Emily, the maid's daughter, who had proven that true greatness comes not from the circumstances of one's birth, but from the strength of one's character. As Emily settled into her new role as the children's personal assistant, she began to notice subtle changes in the household dynamics. While the twins had always been a handful, they now sought her guidance even more. It wasn't just about schoolwork anymore. They looked up to her for advice on how to handle the growing pressures of their family's wealth, the expectations placed on them, and the difficult relationships with their parents. Emily's ability to connect with them on a deeper level made her more than just a caretaker. She had become their mentor. Despite her newfound position, Emily never lost sight of the values that had brought her here. She remained grounded and humble, focused on helping the twins navigate their complicated lives. However, as time went on, Emily began to see cracks in the family's perfect exterior. The couple, though seemingly content, struggled with their own issues. The husband, though appreciative of Emily's contributions, was often distant, consumed by the demands of his business empire. The wife, while still grateful, began to feel the weight of her responsibilities and the pressure of maintaining an image of perfection. One evening, Emily sat in her office, reviewing some paperwork when the wife knocked on the door. "Emily," she said softly, entering the room. "Can we talk?" Emily looked up, surprised by the somber tone in her voice. "Of course, ma'am. What's on your mind?" The wife hesitated before sitting down across from her. I don't know what to do anymore. My husband, he's so distant. I know he's busy with work, but it's like we're living in separate worlds. And the twins, they're growing up so fast. I don't want to lose them." Emily listened carefully, her heart aching for the woman who had once been so in control. "I understand," Emily said gently. "It's hard when life pulls us in so many different directions. But the most important thing is that you're aware of it. Sometimes, just acknowledging the problem is the first step in fixing it." The wife looked at her, her eyes filled with tears. "I've tried so hard to keep everything together, but it feels like I'm failing." Emily reached across the desk, offering her a comforting smile. "You're not failing. You're doing the best you can, and that's all anyone can ask for." The wife smiled weakly, wiping away a tear. "Thank you, Emily. You always know the right things to say." Over the next few weeks, Emily began to see the toll that the stress of family life was taking on both the husband and wife. The twins, despite their improvements, still sensed the underlying tension between their parents. Emily, always observant, knew that the key to truly bringing peace to this home wasn't just about managing the twins. It was about helping the parents reconnect. One evening, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She invited the wife to join her and the twins for a quiet dinner at the mansion. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a simple meal in the dining room. But as they sat down together, Emily made sure to include small moments of connection, encouraging the twins to share something positive about their day, asking the wife to tell a funny story from her childhood. The atmosphere, though still formal, began to soften. The husband joined them later, and for the first time in a long while, the family sat together and laughed. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Emily had created the space for them to rediscover the joy in being together. The next day, the wife approached Emily again. "I can't thank you enough," she said, her tone full of sincerity. "What you did last night, it made a difference. I feel like we're beginning to find our way back to each other." Emily smiled, her heart full. Sometimes, the smallest gestures can make the biggest impact. As the weeks went on, the family began to grow closer, not because of grand gestures, but because of the quiet moments of connection that Emily had facilitated. She had helped them see that family wasn't about perfection or status. It was about love, communication, and being there for each other. And in doing so, she had not only transformed the twins' lives, but also helped heal the fractures in the marriage. The mansion, once a place of tension, had become a home filled with warmth and understanding. And at the center of it all was Emily, who had proven that the most valuable thing she could offer wasn't just her work, but her heart. As months passed, the harmony in the mansion continued to grow. The family was no longer just a group of individuals coexisting under the same roof. They had become a true family, bound by mutual respect, love, and understanding. Emily's presence had woven them together in ways no one had anticipated. The twins, who had once been distant and disconnected, now worked together as a team, supporting each other in school and in life. They still had their moments of sibling rivalry, but it was nothing compared to the chaos they had once caused. The wife and husband, though still busy with their careers, had found a new sense of balance. They made time for each other, for their children, and even for themselves. Their relationship was no longer strained by unspoken tension, and their home was now a place of warmth and open communication. Emily, who had initially come to the mansion as just a maid's daughter, had become the heart of the family. She wasn't just the children's assistant anymore. She had become a trusted confidant for both the parents. One evening, the husband asked Emily to join him in his study. She entered, unsure of what to expect, but she had learned to trust his intentions over time. "Emily, I wanted to talk to you about something," he said, his tone more serious than usual. Emily sat down, waiting for him to continue. "You've done more for this family than anyone could have ever expected, and I want you to know how much we appreciate everything you've done. You've changed our lives." Emily smiled softly, but she was taken aback by the depth of his gratitude. "I'm just doing my job, sir," she said humbly. "No, it's more than that," he replied, looking at her with a sincerity that she hadn't seen before. "I've been thinking, and I want to offer you something more. I want you to know that you're part of this family, and that means you have a future here if you want it." Emily blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" she asked. The husband hesitated for a moment before continuing. "I want you to have the opportunity to grow, to move beyond this position if you choose. We can help you with your education, your career, whatever you want. We believe in you, Emily." Emily's heart raced as she processed his words. This was a world of opportunity that she had never considered before. She had always focused on taking care of the twins and making sure the house ran smoothly, but this offer was something entirely different. It was an offer of her own future, her own path. I don't know what to say," Emily said quietly, her voice filled with emotion. "You don't have to say anything," he reassured her. "Just think about it. We want you to be happy, Emily, and we want to support you in whatever way we can." Emily sat there for a moment, overwhelmed by the kindness and generosity of the family. It wasn't just about having a job anymore. It was about being seen for who she truly was, a capable, strong young woman with a future ahead of her. The next few days were a blur for Emily as she processed everything. She had never imagined that her life would take such a turn. She had come to the mansion to work, to help, and had found herself in a position of real influence and respect. The family had not only accepted her, they had embraced her as one of their own. Emily felt a wave of gratitude for everything that had happened, but she also knew that she had the chance to create something for herself, something beyond the walls of the mansion. She took some time to think about the offer, considering her future with clarity and determination. She didn't have to make a decision right away, but for the first time in her life, she felt as if the world was full of possibilities. One evening, as she sat with the twins in the garden, the boy turned to her and smiled. "Emily, you've really changed everything," he said, his voice sincere. "We're so lucky to have you here." Emily smiled back, feeling a warmth in her heart that she couldn't quite explain. "I'm lucky to be here," she said softly, and she truly meant it. The mansion, once a place of chaos, had become a home, a place where she was valued, respected, and loved. As Emily looked out at the stars that night, she knew that whatever path she chose, she would always carry the lessons of this family with her. They had given her the greatest gift of all, the belief in herself. As the months continued to pass, the mansion settled into a new rhythm, one that felt grounded in the changes that Emily had brought. The family was thriving, and the once uneasy atmosphere had been replaced with an air of calm and mutual respect. The twins, though still children with the energy and curiosity of their age, had developed a strong bond with Emily. They no longer viewed her as just a caretaker, but as a true mentor. Emily's quiet wisdom had seeped into every aspect of their lives. They had become more disciplined in their schoolwork, more respectful toward their parents, and kinder toward each other. The parents, once overwhelmed by the weight of their responsibilities, had also changed. The husband, though still wrapped up in the pressures of running a business empire, made more time for his family. The wife, having seen the positive changes in her children, found herself rediscovering joy in the small moments with her family. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was enough. One evening, after a quiet dinner, Emily sat with the twins in the living room. The boy, now 10, looked at her with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, I don't know if we've ever really thanked you enough," he said, his voice soft. "You've changed everything." Emily smiled warmly, her heart full. "It's my job to help you, all of you," she replied. "But I'm glad I've been able to make a difference." The girl, no longer the emotional whirlwind she once was, nodded in agreement. "I think you've made us better people," she said quietly. I'm proud of who we've become. Emily was touched. She never expected to hear those words from the children she had once struggled to control. The respect they now had for her was more than she could have hoped for. It wasn't just the twins who had changed. Emily herself had grown in ways she hadn't expected. She had started this journey as a young girl from a humble background, with no expectations beyond helping with the daily chores. But now, she saw the world differently. She had the chance to build a future for herself, and with the support of the family, she was taking the first steps toward that future. One day, after a long week of work, the wife approached Emily with a serious look in her eyes. Emily, I've been thinking, she began, her voice steady. You've been such an important part of our family, and we want to do more for you. If you're ready, we'd like to help you pursue the education you've always wanted. Emily blinked, surprised by the offer. What do you mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. You've done so much for us, the wife continued. You've helped us become a family again, and now it's our turn to help you. We want you to have the opportunity to go to school, to pursue a career, whatever it is that makes you happy. Emily was speechless, overwhelmed by their generosity. I don't know what to say, she said softly. You don't have to say anything, the wife replied with a smile. Just know that you're not just a maid's daughter to us. You're a part of this family, and we want you to have everything you deserve. Emily could hardly believe what she was hearing. This was more than she had ever imagined for herself. The family had gone from seeing her as an employee to seeing her as an equal, a trusted member of the household. That night, as Emily sat alone in her room, she reflected on how far she had come. She had started with nothing but a desire to help, and now, she was being offered a future that was full of possibilities. The mansion, once a place of tension and uncertainty, had become a home, filled with love, respect, and opportunity. And at the heart of it all was Emily, the maid's daughter, who had proven that a single person's determination and kindness could change everything. The next morning, Emily woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but for the first time in her life, she knew that she was in control of her own destiny. The family had given her more than just a job. They had given her a chance to build a future for herself. And with that opportunity, she would make sure to never stop growing, never stop learning, and never stop giving back to those who had given her so much. As the years went by, Emily's life took a remarkable turn. The mansion had become a place of warmth, not just for the family, but for her as well. The twins had grown into thoughtful, responsible young adults, now excelling in school and their social lives. They often turned to Emily for advice, not just as a mentor, but as a true family member, someone they trusted and respected above all else. The husband, though still deeply involved in his business empire, had found a way to balance his work with his family life. He and his wife now spent more quality time together, enjoying their children and the peace that Emily had brought into their home. The wife, once overwhelmed by the pressures of motherhood and marriage, had found a sense of fulfillment and balance she hadn't known before. Emily had made it possible for them to reconnect, not only with each other, but with their own values. With the support of the family, Emily had pursued her education, working hard to earn her degree. She had taken every opportunity to learn and grow, building a future for herself. She had even begun exploring career options that aligned with her interests, from mentoring other young people to pursuing a path in social work. It was a far cry from the life she had once imagined for herself, but now, it felt like a dream that was becoming a reality. The family had supported her every step of the way. They helped her enroll in school, provided her with guidance when she needed it, and cheered her on as she accomplished her goals. Emily's sense of gratitude for them was beyond words, but she had also learned to believe in herself. She knew that her success was due to her hard work and the love and support she had received from the people who had once seen her as nothing more than a maid's daughter. One day, as Emily sat in the garden, enjoying a rare moment of peace, the wife came to sit beside her. Emily, she said, her voice full of warmth, I've been thinking. We've watched you grow into someone incredible, and I'm so proud of everything you've achieved. Emily smiled, touched by her words. Thank you, ma'am. I couldn't have done it without all of you. The wife shook her head. No, Emily, you've done it all on your own. We just helped along the way. You've earned everything you have now. As the two women sat in the sun, they were joined by the twins, now both in their teens. They had changed so much over the years, not just because of the guidance Emily had given them, but because they had come to understand the value of love, respect, and family. "Emily," the boy said, looking at her with a grin, "you're the best. I'm really glad you're part of this family." His sister nodded in agreement, her eyes bright with affection. "We wouldn't be who we are without you." Emily felt a lump form in her throat as she looked at them. They weren't just the children she had helped raise. They were now her equals, her family. She had taught them lessons, but they had also taught her. They had taught her that family was not defined by blood but by love, trust, and the bonds that were formed over time. The family had become her own, and she had become a part of theirs in a way that transcended anything she had ever dreamed possible. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the garden, Emily knew that her journey was far from over. She had learned to embrace the future with hope and confidence. The path ahead was filled with endless possibilities, and she was ready to walk it, knowing that no matter where it took her, she had a family behind her who loved and supported her unconditionally. In the end, it wasn't just about what she had achieved. It was about the connections she had built, the lives she had touched, and the love she had found in a place she had never expected. She had gone from being the maid's daughter to becoming a true member of a family, and that, in the end, was the greatest success of all. In this captivating story, a young girl from humble beginnings transforms the lives of a wealthy family in ways that no one could have anticipated. From her first day working in the mansion as a maid's daughter, she becomes an unexpected source of change for the billionaire family, particularly the rebellious twin heirs who have caused chaos for years. Her calm demeanor and wisdom turn the household into a place of peace, earning her the trust and respect of the family. The story explores the powerful themes of kindness, respect, and the importance of family bonds, showing that even the most unlikely individuals can make a profound difference. With her hard work and dedication, she not only changes the lives of the children, but also helps the parents reconnect, ultimately leading to a heartwarming transformation. As she grows, she is offered opportunities for a future she never thought possible, with the family's support helping her pursue her dreams. This is a true testament to the life-changing impact of those who are often overlooked, offering a glimpse into the real essence of millionaire stories. It's a reminder that success isn't always about wealth, but about the connections we build and the difference we make in others' lives. Throughout this incredible journey, the story demonstrates how one person's dedication can create lasting change, even in the world of millionaire stories. The girl's transformation from a humble maid's daughter to a valued member of the family showcases the power of kindness and persistence, and her story serves as an inspiration for anyone looking to make a difference. By the end, her journey teaches that no matter where you come from, love, respect, and hard work can lead to remarkable outcomes, making this one of the most inspiring millionaire stories you'll ever hear. Don't miss out on this heartwarming journey that will inspire you to believe in the power of change and human connection, as told through the lens of millionaire stories.